Oh, and welcome to another episode of Nintendo News Daily. I'm your host, N64 Josh. We do this live on YouTube, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Come hang out if you can. It's 12:30 Pacific, so it might be right at the end of lunchtime. Who knows? Maybe I should switch this up a half hour earlier. I'm not quite sure, but we're doing this live. We're having a good time. We've got all kinds of stuff to talk about today. There's not going to be like a main topic because there's so much Nintendo news today. There's so much to talk about in the world of Nintendo because we've had uh, an investors meeting, as you could probably see from the thumbnail. So when Nintendo has an investors meeting, there's all kinds of information that is coming out about everything in the world of Nintendo. How are the sales doing? How's the Switch doing? How, what games can we expect for 2025? Not like there's any new announcements, but just kind of reiterating what's coming out. And but there's also some other news sprinkled in throughout here. So one other thing I want to make sure is so clear is that if you are watching this or listening to this and you have a differing opinion, share it. Like share it. It's totally fine. Like if we don't agree, that doesn't mean we can't be friends. And that's what I love about these kind of shows is that like we may not always agree, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I read every single comment and try to reply to every single comment. And if you see something differently or you got a different opinion on things, share it. It's valid. It's valid. If we don't agree, we don't agree. It's not the end of the world. But I want to hear from you. So I see gaming since the 80s is here. What is going on? Welcome to the show. It's time to hit the intro. All right. Well, we are going to jump into this thing. There's a lot. There is a lot to cover today. So, we are going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. I do just want to say what's up to everybody that's here. I see a handful of you guys are hanging out. So good to see you. Hope you're all doing amazing. And let's jump into this. We're mainly going to be on Nintendo Life today because they've been on it with the coverage. So we're just going to go through a handful of articles. This one's near and dear to my heart. If you're looking at the video right now, if you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, you're seeing what I have tattooed on my arm, and that is the box art for Super Mario Kart. And when I saw this, I immediately fired up my Switch. I wasn't able to play the game yet because I need to save Xenoblade Chronicles before I can jump into this title. So I didn't want to be any more late than I was. So I stopped attempting to get these icons. But Switch Online's missions and rewards add Super Mario Kart icons you can get by playing. So you do have to jump into the game. You literally just have to fire it up, and you'll be good to go. So these are going to be available for a month. And just looking at the article, it says Nintendo's been celebrating Mario Kart quite a bit recently. Now it's launched a new set of themed icons for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers. These are based on Super Mario Kart and are missions rewards you get by playing this game on Nintendo Switch Online service Super Nintendo app. These icons are 10 platinum points each, and if you play the game, you'll receive 50 platinum points. And they're showing a little picture here. You can see this. I'm literally wearing I'm wearing a Mario Kart t-shirt today that has the same like Mario kind of drifting with the smoke coming off his wheels, and I love it, honestly. Like this old school art style is one of my absolute favorites, and the new game, I don't know, I kind of get the vibes. I'm really excited to see, and I'm hoping the pipe frame makes a return, and that we look very similar to how this art style is when we're racing. So again, just kind of hopeful there, because I love this art style so much. But if you're like me and you mainly collect the Mario Kart icons, this will get you super excited. So just make sure to head on over to the little red icon on your Switch's main menu and pick up the rewards. Again, you've got until March 3rd. So, but I do check the Mario Kart one daily because I didn't buy them or pick them up, and I have been able to start adding more to my collection. I'm so curious on how many there are for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I'm at like 170 or 175, so I know there's a lot there. Next up, this is just kind of random. Shuei Yoshida reminisces about playing Sony's first SNES PlayStation game, and it was a shmup. So this is kind of cool. Kind of cool to jump into this here. I see Joey Pitts is here. It says, at work listening while actually working, so I won't be as vocal. Hey, glad you're here. So glad you're here. So I'm just gonna jump into the post. Looks like it was on Blue Sky here, and it says the description of the game matches that of Fortessa, a shmup produced by Epic and Sony, co-developed by System Sacom. Former PlayStation executive Shuei Yoshida has revealed details on Sony's first ever game, which he claims was almost finished for the company's canceled Nintendo PlayStation project. And so, taking a look at the article here, it says Shuei Yoshida has really brought out Nintendo's goods today. On the latest episode of the MinMax podcast, the former PlayStation executive began to reminisce about the early days of his time at Sony, recalling the time that he got to play the company's first title for the fabled Super Nintendo PlayStation, the CD-ROM expansion that never saw the light of day. Which this it still blows my mind because of everything that went down in the history of Nintendo with Sony and Philips Magnavox, all of it. It's so crazy to me that Nintendo basically built PlayStation from the flames of of anger. Like, it is so funny the way it all went down, and it's crazy. But it says, we're sure you already know the story, but briefly, Nintendo had agreed to work with Sony on the SNES disc expansion, but the Big N secretly went behind the partner's back and announced its intentions to work with Philips just moments before Sony would unveil the console. Talk about drama. Yeah, and I think one of the best ways to learn about this is I want to say Console Wars, which is available on Paramount Plus. It's really, really good. This is before the famous double crossing could take place. However, Sony was working on games for the collaboration. The first of which Yoshida recalls was a space shooter of a similar vein to the Sega CD shmup Slipheed. According to the former PlayStation exec, the game was almost finished and boasted richer graphics than the standard of that time, thanks to the assets being streamed from the CD. Unfortunately, Yoshida cannot remember the game's title or its development team, not even if it was developed in the US or Japan, though he said he wouldn't be surprised if a copy still existed in the Sony archives. Come on, Sony. Have a look, will you? As pointed out by the GamerRanks and VG Denetsu, was able to provide even more specifications on Blue Sky, stating that Yoshida's description matches Fortessa, a shmup produced by Epic, Sony, and co-developed by System Sacom. It's an obscure shout, we'll admit, but the descriptions certainly seem to match up. According to a forum post shared on VG Denetsu's Tumblr in 2018, Fortessa was set to be an exclusive for the SNES CD, with a potential pack-in boasting FMV backgrounds with overlaid sprite-based graphics. Yo, that is so interesting that they were using FMV with sprites over the top. Like, so let's see here. How many people can claim? How many people can claim to have done that? For the PlayStation's 30th anniversary last year, former Sony executive Sean Layden spoke to Eurogamer about the collaboration that never was, describing the double crossing as Nintendo leaving Sony's Ken Kutaragi proverbially standing at the altar with his optical disc drive in hands. And SNES PlayStation prototype was found in the wild back in 2015, which was crazy when we got to finally see this. And assumed it was a last of its kind. The hardware was fixed up and went on to be sold with a huge price tag years later. Now, if Sony could just check the archives, then perhaps the buyer would have something to play on the machine. So there you go. Just kind of some fun, random stuff. Gaming Since the 80s says, I know the story a little bit different between Nintendo and copycat Sony. Interesting. I'm very, very curious because the story I've always seen and always heard has been that of just basically Nintendo looking like the villain and becoming that is the moment in history for Sony's villain arc, if you will, in the creation of PlayStation villain or villain origin story. If you're a Nintendo fan, anyway. So I don't know. It's just I love this history. I love getting to see even just the thumbnail for the video that they have showcased here is like the SNES controller that says Sony PlayStation. Like it's such a crazy piece of history, and I Gaming Since the 80s has piqued my interest now. I want to know more. So again, this kind of just more random stuff before we really jump into the financials and whatnot. Civilization is a 7 devs love that love what Nintendo is doing with Switch 2's Joy-Con, but remain tight-lipped otherwise. So we won't get into the whole article, just a little quote here. And it says, and the announcement has some great stuff in it. I love what they're doing with the controllers. It's very cool. That's about all I can say about it in terms of an opinion. I think it looks awesome, and they're not wrong. So it'd be cool for something like that. So very tight-lipped. We have really we're not getting really any information here, but when it comes to games like Civilization, RTSs, even FPSs, there's a lot they can do here with the Joy-Con working as a mouse. And again, you guys have heard me say it at length. I don't believe, I think this function will be in there and you can use it, but without a doubt, Nintendo is going to sell just a regular mouse. So that's my gut feeling. So, so here's a little more insight on the Sony story from Gaming Since the 80s. So Sony wanted the rights to Nintendo's IPs for the PlayStation, but Nintendo refused to do this. No surprise. And then Sony canceled the partnership and started on the PlayStation. Ooh, interesting. So some more what a tangled web we weave here. Like so interesting. And it's good to see some of the other side as well. I love that. So always fun to dig into the history of this stuff. And I mean, even honestly, more so than watching the show Console Wars, pick up the book or the Audible, pick up the Audible book, and it's really worth a listen. I really enjoyed it, or worth a read. It's super good. So moving on here, Super Mario Party Jamboree. We're gonna start getting into the financials here. Super Mario Party Jamboree, the fastest selling entry in franchise history. And I mean, are we shocked? Are we surprised? This has become a must-own Switch game in my mind. This is a must-own. We talked about it in the top 20 games. I believe this made both the lists, between the main show and the viewer show. This is Super Mario Party Jamboree is a must own. It does not disappoint. It is, and you guys have heard me mention it, but what Nintendo has done with Jamboree if they do something similar with Mario Kart, with all the content that is packed in here, because you're not just talking about 7 great boards, you're talking about multiple modes from Minigame Bay to Koopathlon to the Kaboom Squad. They have a section for motion games. Like this thing, there's a single player experience as well. And it's no wonder that it is done so well. So it says Nintendo has revealed that Super Mario Party Jamboree has shipped a total of 6.17 million units since the launch in October 2024. This not only makes it the best-selling game of the financial quarter for Nintendo, but also now the fastest-selling Mario Party entry in franchise history. Outpacing the mighty Super Mario Party from 2018 is quite an achievement. But whether or not it will come close to the 21 million units of lifetime sales is another story. And I will, like I said, must own. If you have a Switch, we've had this game has been played on stream far more than what I anticipated. And I feel like it is a fantastic foundation for what the Mario Party series could be. But I also I think they can expand upon it now. I don't think they need to change anything with the foundation. I think they just need to build upon it and make Koopathlon something much bigger. Like we're in the middle. I got videos coming out. Ladies' Night has become a Koopathlon competition. We're doing a season of just slugging it out in Koopathlon, right? On stream, we've 5-starred almost every difficulty of the 3 boards of Kaboom Squad. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. And the thing I love the most is when I'm streaming it and I have people coming in going, "What game is this?" And I'm like, "It's Mario Party." And they're like, "What?" I thought everybody expects Mario Party to just be the boards and that's it. And it's so much more now. It's so much more. And I feel like it is one of the games that Nintendo has done an amazing job moving it forward. And I have no doubt, I'm very hopeful anyway, that Mario Kart 9 or Crossroads, whatever it is that ends up being, is going to have a very similar treatment. So super stoked to see that that it is selling so well. And again, cannot recommend it enough. Nintendo reconfirms release window for major upcoming Switch games and the Switch 2. So taking a look here at the article, it says Nintendo has released its latest financial data covering the third quarter ending the 31st of December in fiscal year 2025. As per tradition, the company has reconfirmed release windows for its major upcoming Switch software. It's slim pickings, all told, but the games on offer here are sure to be absolute bangers. We've also got the first instance that the Nintendo Switch 2 has cropped up in Nintendo's fancy little slide, with the firm reiterating a release at some point in 2025. Hopefully we'll see some changes coming soon regarding the vague 2025 windows for Metroid Prime 4, Beyond, and Pokemon Legends ZA. It's likely to get we'll get a Pokemon Presents on the 27th of February, which is Pokemon Day, and rumor has it that a new Nintendo Direct may land in the coming days and or weeks, fingers crossed. Like really, I think there's a very real possibility we see a Direct in February. There's been a lot of Februarys, very few that we don't see Nintendo Directs. And from what we've been hearing from, insiders and all that kind of stuff, is that Kirby Planet Robobot is going to be announced, the potential of a new Metroid 2D game, which, I mean, I'm totally here for it. I'm under all of the assumptions point towards Metroid Prime 2 Samus Returns getting remade for Switch before a brand new one. But if they can do a new one, sign me up. Like I love Dread so much. I'm having a hard time not going back and playing through it a third time. a third time because I had so much fun playing through it the second time. And then Nady Nay picks it up recently, and now he's sending me messages like, "Yo, I'm loving this. I feel like I might be stuck." Like there's just there's just so much fun to be had with this series. And again, it's a must play if you own a Switch. Like you can try the demo to see if it's for you, which is great. Go check out the demo. Gaming Since the 80s says new F-Zero, please. I mean, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. I would love it. We know Nintendo hasn't forgotten about F-Zero. I'm all about it. I think it would be great. And I mean, one of the rumors is that Nintendo is going to announce a new game in a somewhat niche series. So some people are thinking it's Fire Emblem, but I mean, F-Zero is somewhat niche as well. Maybe there's a chance. Maybe, I know there is a section of the community that would really, really love to see a new F-Zero game. I just don't know. Do they do two racers this close together with or even in the same year with Mario Kart and F-Zero? That's another question as well. So just taking a look, we got Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. I saw Nintendo tweeted out today that you can pre-order both the digital and physical. I'm honestly kind of sad that they are not doing a collector's edition. They've done collector's editions for every other one of the Xenoblade games and not this one. And they're the big box that they do, like they're all done up. But I don't know if Scalpers got a hold of Definitive Edition of Xenoblade Chronicles, and then they tried to do something different with 3, and then that was an absolute nightmare as well. And they were just like, yeah, we're done with it. I don't know. Pokemon Legends ZA, like we talked about, is 2025. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond 2025. And then Switch 2 2025. So, there's some announcements, right? But nothing. It's just it's all stuff that we basically know is sometime within 2025. And so we'd love to see more, but it's the way it goes. So, like the article says here, so yeah, it's not a lot, but good Lord, we are excited for these games and hardware. Nintendo has also confirmed that the Switch has now sold 150.86 million units since its launch, itching towards the DS lifetime sales of 154.02 million. And then, of course, you've got Sony, who still can find new sales of the PS2. And so it's got about 10 million more units to go. And we're going to talk more about that as well. So, and here we go. So since we're kind of on the topic, I'm just going to segue into this. As Nintendo Switch hardware sales pass 150 million, with PS2 records still a ways off. And I do want to look at the chat here. Gaming Since the 80s says, if they launch the Switch 2 with F-Zero as a launch game, then gamers will have Super Nintendo deja vu. That would be a good thing. Oh yes, it would. That was quite the launch title for sure. Loved F-Zero. The only thing I disliked about it, I was like, why can't I play this with my friends? Like that was the only thing. And then they were like, hold our beer. They're like, play it with 99 of your friends now. So love that they made that game a 99 player like battle royale. Like I think it's fantastic. So taking a look at the article here, it says Nintendo Switch hardware sales pass 150 million, with PS2's record still a ways off. Something waiting in the wings. So sales of Nintendo Switch have now passed 150 million mark, according to Nintendo's latest financial results. The firm released its quarterly results today, revealing that it has now sold 150.86 million Switches worldwide since the system launched in 2017. 4.82 million Switches consoles were sold in the 3 months from the 1st of October to the 31st of December, which breaks down as follows: 2.57 million OLED, 0.76 million Switch Lite, and 1.5 0.48 million regular Switches. This puts the console less than 4 million sales away from the DS, although it's still a ways off from Sony's all-time console sales record of 160 million plus. So Nintendo managed to shift 6.9 million Switches in the same period, quarter three, last financial year, with sales slowing in the system's 8th holiday season on store shelves. Software sales for this lucrative period were also down year on year, with 53.7 million sales compared to 66.87 million in quarter three of 2023-2024 fiscal year. Nintendo has modified its hardware sales forecast from 12 million to 11 million units for the fiscal year ending in March 2025. The company cites the release of Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder in 2023 as significant sales driving factor, explaining the comparative year-to-year decline. Switch 2 was revealed in a short trailer in January, so all eyes are on the next console and its unannounced games to bolster the firm's balance books later this year. For now, while it seems unlikely that the Switch will beat PlayStation 2's record, it's not a bad result for the aging platform, but investors will likely be pleased to know that the Switch 2 is just around the corner. Let's see here. Sawyer is here. He's saying he's got COVID right now, and I want Switch 2 to play in bed like it's 2020. Yes, you need it, buddy. Sending you all the good vibes. Joey says, would a Switch price drop help that record? So I think so. And I was looking at a Forbes article, and I'm pretty sure that's or maybe it's right here. It's this article right here. So let's read this, Joey, and I think we'll kind of dig into your question a little bit. So it says Switch's falling sales aren't entirely down to Switch 2 hype, says Furukawa. It was always bound to happen, right? Earlier today, Nintendo released the latest quarterly financials, blah, blah, blah. We know that the Switch big 150 million unit milestone, all good stuff. From Furukawa, he said, we don't think the impact of refraining from purchasing because of Switch 2 is that great. We think it's a solid 8th year, but we haven't reached our target, right? So he is saying they don't think that the announcement of Switch 2 is really doing that much damage to the sales of Switch 1. He says, what's more, the outlet reports Furukawa reassured investors that Switch 1 sales would continue as long as there is demand, so they don't expect to see the classic model disappearing from shelves anytime soon. It's true, the Switch is soon to enter its 9th year on the market, and with 2024's somewhat subdued release schedule, particularly compared to years prior, interest and sales numbers were always bound to slip. But the drop-off is bigger than any year previously, and it has been steeper than even Nintendo expected. We can't help but think that Switch 2's anticipation has little to do with it. Nintendo's latest batch of figures only accounts up to the end of December before the Switch 2 revealed, other than we had like the little bit of announcement. But the hype train that has been chugging along for years at this point, eventually people are bound to hold off on buying while they are patiently waiting for something new. I mean, and you guys, if you remember Hate Zero, who used to be one of the co-hosts on the show, I was texting with him the other day, and he's like, yo, I'm so ready for the Switch 2. I'm kind of just bored. I'm bored with gaming right now. But you got to remember that, like, if somebody purchased the Switch this last holiday for the first time, they're probably not all of that interested in the Switch 2 at this point. Like they're potentially like super casual, or the other aspect of it is if the majority of their gaming has been done on other consoles via Xbox or PlayStation, there's not been a whole lot going on over there. And so if you're a gamer that's not like playing the massive releases from like, Activision or EA, you may be looking at Nintendo exclusives as something to jump into, which you're going to have plenty when it comes to Switch 2. So Zoe said, would a price drop help that record? And I think so. But that being said, Nintendo has to, it's all going to come down to the marketing. Nintendo is going to have to get those sales numbers in front of the audience that hasn't pulled the trigger yet. And that's the real tricky part, right? Like if they just put out, like, their tweets and there's not a big push to try to get in front of new eyeballs, that's going to be a tough hill to climb, because again, the majority of the people that are probably like looking to buy the Switch 2 and that haven't purchased the Switch 1 yet, they probably don't really correlate. I mean, you might find some people that are like, you know what, I decided I want to get back into gaming. I haven't done it in a few years. That was the case. That was a big thing with the Switch. There were a lot of people that were like, yo, I haven't played Nintendo games in a while. Let me jump back in. And so that I think the real battle with getting these 10 million sold is a price drop, but then also how do they get this in front of the people that maybe have very little interest in gaming, or they're not seeing this stuff. Like, honestly, the biggest play would be a Super Bowl commercial with the price drop of the Switch 2 or the Switch 1. That would be probably the best way for Nintendo to move the rest of those units. And they have the cash for it. And the new system is coming out, but that's 5 days away. That's literally 5 days away. So like they could absolutely crush with the price drop. But at the same time, if they do that, are they going to then undercut the Switch 2 sales? More than likely, if they have 20 million units, you might have some people that start to do a little bit of research. But if you find out you could get your kid a Switch Lite for $100, that's, I mean, especially if they were to pack it with a game, right? Or 3 months of Nintendo Switch Online. And I mean, if it were me, I would really lean into the marketing of Nintendo Switch Online being something that you could show your kids what you grew up with. Like, that would be the campaign that I would kind of lean into. You're watching the Super Bowl, you probably got your little ones running around, like letting them experience the games you grew up with. There could be, just kind of tugging on those nostalgia strings. Maybe I think, get it. Nintendo needs to do the Budweiser thing and get everybody crying by the end of the by the end of their commercial. And there's a lot they could do there, but there's a ton of eyeballs, right? That are going to be at the Super Bowl. And they don't have to, it doesn't have to be like, they could literally announce both. They could be like, hey, if you haven't played Nintendo in a while, here's what we're doing. Here are the new prices. But also, later this year, our brand new system is coming out. So there's so many different ways that they could tackle this. And I think if we do get this rumored direct, it's going to be it's going to be interesting. I think for a little while here, possibly up to 2 years, is my gut feeling, that we will still see Switches in the wild. The first Switch will still be out there and in the wild. I don't know that they really care about the record, right? Like, but I have a hard time believing, in the state that we are in with gaming, that anybody's ever going to come close again. Like, I don't know if that's a reality anymore. Like, I think the Switch 2 is going to do great. I think it's going to do fantastic. They have to price it correctly. but I'm anticipating my guess for Switch 2 is for it to break 100 or maybe 120 million. Now, if they like go crazy with Animal Crossing and stuff like that, that could change. That could really change, right? Like there are games that they could really lean into and support for a very long time and keep moving those consoles. So, and I mean, as you know, a huge Nintendo fan, of course, I want to see this. I just want to see them healthy. I want to see them winning and winning. I don't mean like in the console war, but just winning as a company, because that's when we can get games like F-Zero or games like, who knows if Punch Out will ever see the light of day again. But the fact that we're seeing games like Metroid Dread and Metroid Prime, like, these are fantastic series that we don't get to see unless Nintendo is healthy, and Nintendo's been healthy. We're getting to see some of the very best they've ever put out. Joey says, I just hope we don't find hard to find with the Switch 2 like we did with the PS5. Well, it's funny that you say that, Joey. Like, Joey has been on point with the segues today with the questions, because Nintendo is taking all possible measures to combat Switch 2 scalpers. Ninjas on standby. Nintendo's president, Shitaro Furukawa, has stated that the company will take all possible measures to help combat scalpers and resellers from impacting the upcoming Switch 2 launch. Speaking with press as Nintendo released its latest financial data, Furukawa was asked how the company would adequately prepare for the Switch 2's launch in light of its predecessor's history with stock shortages and resellers. And Furukawa simply stated, "We will take all possible measures based on the experience we have accumulated to date regarding scalpers and the like, and we are making preparations." And so this is good. This is really good. You know what I really think is going to happen? I think there's a very real possibility that the first sales of the Switch will be tied to your Nintendo Switch online account, or having even the free Nintendo account. Like, you will have to have an account to get in the queue, potentially, which is going to really wipe out the amount of, I would assume would really wipe out the amount of bots that are going to be trying to get all these things and then resell them on eBay. And my hope is that as many people as possible get their hands on this system when they want it. That's how we're all going to have the most fun. Like, I'm thinking about it, and it's like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe may not be going away for a while, because depending on how this thing is priced, how readily available it is, not everybody's going to have this thing at launch. There's just no way. Like, it's just the nature of the beast. And if you don't have that pre-order secured right away, that can be difficult. And on tomorrow's show, I'm going to go over a few things on how to get a pre-order, or actually I might do a video just talking about some tips, because I was asked about that. And then we might talk about it a little bit more on tomorrow's episode as well, of just the different steps you can take to make sure that you are first in line for getting your pre-order for this system. Joey says, but if I have an NSO account and that lets me pre-order it through a link, that wouldn't have me worry if Best Buy or GameStop will get it, right? Just be anxious watching the mailbox every day. Yeah. And it's important to them, right? Because they don't want to see their fans ripped off. And it's, in a way, it's kind of good that they're thinking about this and that they care about this, because if somebody has to go and buy the system at an inflated price, there's less chance that they buy as much software, right? Which that's taking money out of Nintendo's pockets, and then two, hopefully there's some thought for the consumer, right? That they're like, we want this, we want to get this into the hands of our fans because we know they're hungry for it. And that obviously they're a business. They've always been a business, over 100 years as a business. Like, businesses have to make money, but I do think they understand that there's an element of the community that just like we love to play together. So we want this in many hands as possible. Let's see here. Apostoli says, I'm nervous because I want to get from Best Buy because I have reward certificates I've been saving up. I hope I can get it from there. Well, stay tuned to that video, my friend, because I'm gonna show you some ways that you can make that happen. Joey says, it's the reason I went from PS4 to Switch, because of what was available. Interesting. Well, welcome to the community, Joey. It's been fantastic seeing you in chats and seeing your love for Donkey Kong and all that stuff. So I love that. But I think overall, like, it's been, it's great to see where Nintendo's at, where the future is, where the future is heading. I don't know why, but like, I'm just as excited for this upcoming Direct as I am about the April Direct. I'll give you guys a little teaser. We are going to be talking about probably tomorrow. Like, one of tomorrow's topics is going to be like, what are these third-party studios going to do? And will games like GTA 6 make it on to Switch 2? And if so, what does that look like? And I have some thoughts, and based on the way I know Rockstar kind of operates and what we've seen from them, I don't know that everybody's going to love my analysis or my speculation on how I think GTA 6 will be handled on Switch 2. But I have a feeling you guys will probably agree with me after it's all said and done. So be on the lookout for that video on how I think not only third parties, but especially Xbox and Rockstar in this scenario. I think it'll be an interesting conversation for the topic on tomorrow's show. But I am going to put out a video prior to kind of get you guys thinking about it. So appreciate everybody being here, guys. I'm seeing more and more viewers each day. Again, we're doing this live 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. It's my main stream right now. Streams are on hold in the evenings, unfortunately, just due to life circumstances. So everything's all good. I don't want you to think otherwise. Just had a couple slow months is all. And so, but everything's rocking and rolling. It's just, I can't fit streaming in at the moment at that time slot anyway. I may do some more earlier in the day, which I know for the all the UK peeps, they do like that. So appreciate you guys listening to these shows. Just a quick reminder too, you can subscribe on Apple or Spotify if you don't want any ads. And there's options on both of those platforms to be able to do that. So appreciate you guys, and we will see you in the next one. Bye now.